Welcome to Engine Adventures. Today, the 2020 Kia Telluride. This is the North American SUV of the Year, Car and Driver's 10 Best SUV of the Year, Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, and it's pretty awesome. I think the reason it wins all those is because of the value. Sorry for the wind today, guys. This is the SX model with all-wheel drive. Rings in at about 48,000, and it has all of the features. But one cool thing I just found, let's take a look real quick under the hood. Change your air filter. All you got to do, pull that, flip the lever here, flip the lever here, pull it out. So that's how you change the air filter. Easy enough. Probably one of the easiest ones I've ever seen. Alright, so we're going to do most of this inside because it's so cold outside. My hands are freezing, it's windy and hard to hear. So this Kia Telluride 2020 with the 3.8 liter V6. I'll put the horsepower and torque numbers up on the screen there, but it's about 280 or I think 291 horsepower and 262 foot-pounds of torque. This one is the SX with all of the bells and whistles in it. Heated and cooled seats, front and rear. So the rear captain's chairs here, middle row I guess, would have, or do have, heated and cooled seats. It's got the sunroof here in the front, and then just a big open glass pane in the back. That doesn't open up to the outside, but it does give a nice view. It's a pretty cool screen. I like how you hit the home menu. It actually splits it into 3 separate screens, and you can adjust everything, make it, you know, whatever you want to put up. You can divide it up. You can switch through various screens here. This feature is pretty funny. It makes it easy to talk to the third row passengers. We'll see if you can hear my echo as I talk. Hello back there, third row passengers. So it's kind of an intercom system, so you can talk to your children in the third row or whoever's sitting back there without yelling. And of course they're facing forward, so it's easy for them to talk to you. Like I said, it has all the features. That's a heated steering wheel, cruise control that has the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, I don't know, all of the features. And Kia likes to tout this thing as being a little bit off-road capable, so we'll jump into that in a little bit. And it does have this display that shows you where the power is going, and I'll get you a better view of that when we're climbing a hill to show you how it transfers power around. And then of course you've got a whole array of screens and different things you can go through. Oops, I keep skipping it, but you can cycle through a whole bunch of different stuff, and you can turn off, change all these different settings, all sorts of things. Of course, most modern vehicles do that now. Oh, it does have different drive modes. There's no off-road mode, but it does have the locking center differential right there. Auto stop start. This is to auto hold your parking brake. The camera view, and maybe I have to be in drive, it's not bringing that up, and then the parking sensor, so let's go ahead and put it in drive. So then when I hit this camera view button, it'll bring up the different screens. You can zoom in, zoom out, you can change your angles on what you're looking at, and of course all your settings and all that. So it has a pretty good camera system for off-road as well. We'll do a little bit more playing around with that in a minute. as well. This thing is designed for hauling a lot of people in comfort, so there are plenty of power outlets, charging ports, and this one connects to the vehicle. But there are lots of these throughout. All 3 rows get USB charging ports. It does have wireless charging, so the light's on there, my phone's charging. Let's go ahead and jump in the middle row real quick. So here you can see the heated and cooled seats and the climate control. You can adjust all that back here, of course. Power out here, the 115 volt and another 12 volt. And then here on the seats, USB charging ports for the middle row. And then the back row I have folded down. It's easy enough to lift up. But they also get their charging ports. And you can move the second row seat forward if you need a little room. On 510, that is how I sit when I drive, and there's a lot of room here, so I could move forward, giving the third row enough room to fit an adult comfortably. And there are vents back there as well. Let's go check out the rear real quick, and then we'll get into the off-road and traction control stuff. So to fold the seat, you just pull on that. You have to push, so it kind of takes 2 hands. So you pull the string and then push. But here you can fold the second row and just push a button, and it folds down. This rear storage bin is pretty big. You can see that's a full 1 gallon bottle of washer fluid. It fits in there no problem. You can probably fit 10 of those across this thing. Yeah, maybe not 10, but a lot. And the jack's right there underneath this cover on the left. And then it does have a donut spare tire, but you could put a full-size spare on there. It would hang down a tiny bit more, but it would fit in that location. So if you did want a full-size spare, you could definitely pull that off. Let's go ahead. We're gonna drive up some of these hills here. You see that one's all rutted out, and we'll probably try this other one here as well and get you guys some footage of it climbing up, show you how the traction control system works. And I haven't figured out what mode is best for off-road. So I've been trying snow, and it seems okay. The throttle response isn't quite as aggressive as it maybe needs to be. So I might try switch between snow and sport and smart and just see what each one does, see if it can actually make a difference between the two and what it does. So let's go move on to that. All right, so we're gonna try and climb this one in sport mode with the center differential locked. I'm gonna go ahead and lock it into first gear, and you can see the power, how it's being distributed there. And basically it's just gonna be 50-50. It doesn't have torque vectoring with power. It uses the brakes to do torque vectoring, so it's not going to have more power on one side than the other. So let's just go ahead and climb up here. And I'm gonna try and take the easiest line. Because this is a pretty tough hill. There's a dog up there at the top of the hill. And you can see the cameras here make it a lot easier. Like right now I can't see what's in front of me, but with the cameras on, that's no problem. And no problem climbing that hill. You heard the ABS pump come on a couple of times to control the wheel speed, brake the wheels that are spinning to transfer power to the wheels that have traction. This does have, I believe it's a 9-speed automatic. I'll put that up on the screen as well. So the first gear has a pretty low gearing. Doesn't have a low range transfer case, but with the low gearing in first gear, it's able to cope. You can get through most things. This is not a hardcore off-roader. You're not going to be doing crazy stuff, so the low range you don't really need. But having that low first gear is definitely helpful. So let's go ahead and get some outside shots. A few things to note here. The first one is that this ground is really slick. So this is just frozen mud basically, and the tires aren't really not digging in, not grabbing any traction anywhere. But still, you can see how poorly this vehicle transfers power side to side. So all these tests, I had the center differential locked, so it's 50-50 split front and rear. But you can see that it takes a lot of wheel spin before it starts to transfer power side to side. And in this case, climbing this hill, it was just taking too long for it to transfer that power before I started sliding backwards. And then I had to stop accelerating in order to save the vehicle from any potential damage, you know, maybe catching traction and then hitting really hard. So I was trying to be really careful with it. I'm also choosing like a fairly tough line at this spot. You'll see that I choose a nice easy line when I actually make it up over the hill. But it was definitely, you know, and this is an easy hill to climb if you have good momentum and stuff. I was trying to show that power transfer, and I think one of the main issues with why it takes so much wheel spin before it does start to transfer power is that this engine is a low torque engine, and the torque doesn't come in until high RPM. And so it doesn't have enough torque at the low end to be able to power through when it's applying the brake to the spinning wheel to help transfer power to the other side. So the 2020 Kia Telluride has 5 different drive modes, and those are Eco, Comfort, Sport, Smart, and Snow. And then in any mode you can hit the center differential lock button, and that'll give you a 50-50 power split front to rear. So the first mode, let's do Eco, and that is basically front wheel drive only. It might send some power to the wheels once it starts to slip, the rear wheels, excuse me. And then also Smart mode is the same thing. But in either of those modes, if you hit the 4x4 lock button or the center differential lock button, it will put 50-50 split front, rear for the power. And then also any of the modes to control side-to-side traction, it just applies the brake to the spinning wheel. So the next mode is Comfort mode, and it's front wheel drive bias, but it does send like 20% of the power to the rear, so it's kind of an 80-20 split is what it feels like. I don't know the official numbers on that. And then Sport mode is closer to a 50-50 split. And that brings us to the Snow mode, which also has a near 50-50 split, and it has a little bit less of a throttle response, so you don't spin your tires when you're first starting out in really slick conditions. One thing about the Telluride is that you need to keep your speeds up in order to do any off-roading. It really needs that extra momentum to get through things, and also, you know, climbing hills and whatever to help control that wheel slip. It needs a lot of speed. You're not going to need that kind of speed with other vehicles, but this thing is quite capable if you're aware of exactly how it drives off-road and what it needs to make it be capable. I did want to give you a quick shot underneath so that you can see what you have hanging down low, what kind of skid plates you have, which the skid plates are plastic. There's not a whole lot of undercarriage protection on this vehicle, so I wouldn't say it's a hardcore off-roader by any means, which we've already gone over, but it can be capable in its own right. Thanks for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2020 Kia Telluride. And if you liked what you saw, if you're interested in learning more about traction in other vehicles, go ahead and hit subscribe and make sure to ring the bell so you get notifications. Upcoming, we have an Infiniti QX80, a Ram Rebel with the 3-liter diesel, a BMW X6, a Ford F-250 with a 7.3 gas. Just a bunch of vehicles that we have coming up, so if you're interested in any of those, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.